Hello, film fans. Welcome to the Film vs. Film podcast. My name is Martin Harries, your host. I'm a filmmaker on occasion, but mainly can't stop yapping about movies. On this podcast, every episode I pick a topic from a film that's coming out at the cinema or on streaming. I pick a favourite film from that topic and battle it out against a guest to decide which film will become the greatest film of all time. If you enjoy this podcast, please leave us a 5-star review and subscribe. Please enjoy part 1. Hello, podsters or podroonies, if you prefer. We are back again for another episode of the Film vs. Film podcast. Yay, I got that right. I know what I'm doing, absolutely. This month, as The Bride is out, so naturally we will be talking about Bride movies. No, of course not. We'll be talking Frankenstein Films, and I've got another returning guest from the League of Podcasts, Parker from Dissect That Film. How are you, sir?
I am happy to be back. It's always great to hang out with you and talk whatever we're going to be talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, you got a pretty good record on the show. I think you're 2-1, I believe.
Yeah, I came out too strong. I came out too cocky. So I had to make up for it with the second. Yeah. This is my 4th time on this show. Holy crap.
Yeah, it is indeed.
Wow.
I think. Yeah.
Time flies. Time flies.
Yeah. So this is your opportunity to tell us about your podcast. Where can we find you?
So I am 1/3 of Dissect That Film. We have actually 2 shows. We have Dissect That Film podcast and The Monster Zone, which Dissect That Film podcast is a podcast where we go through the plots of movies and we dissect them in the best possible way. I do it with my co-host Dan and Angela. And then on The Monster Zone, that is a strictly monster-centric movie where once a month we spin a wheel and whatever movie it lands on, that's what we talk about. And I do that with my co-host Dan and Angela and Mikey. They're the hosts. I'm just the newbie who's kind of absorbing all these monster movies for the first time, and it's been a lot of fun. But you can find us anywhere you type in Dissect That Film on social media, YouTube, podcast apps, or just go to Google and type in Dissect That Film. You'll probably find wherever we are.
Nice. Must be a pretty big wheel for your monster podcast.
Yeah, it's because my co-hosts are the very knowledgeable monster fans who have been kind of absorbing it most of their life, and I am I grew up in the 90s with 90s monster movies. I didn't really watch a lot of monster movies from before. Jaws, you can consider a monster movie, so I guess we can consider that. But when it comes to like the origin of monster movies from like the 50s, I'm not well versed in it, so this has kind of been my opportunity to be introduced to these movies for the first time. So they brought a lot to the table, and then we, of course, reach out to people and just be like, "Hey, if you got recommendations, throw them in." We add them to the wheel, but yeah, we have a lot of movies on that wheel.
Do you have like separate wheels for Godzilla, King Kong?
We do.
Oh, nice.
So we do have sub wheels for Godzilla, for Gamera. I don't know if we have a Kong one. They might have that all set up, but yeah, we do have sub wheels just for those franchises that have a lot of movies.
Nice. And today we are focusing on the Frankenstein wheel, I guess. And another Frankenstein movie that's been added to the wheel is coming out as this podcast gets released, I guess, in the form of The Bride, directed by Maggie Gyllenhaal, and I believe it's her directional debut. Don't quote me on that, but
I think she may have done one other movie before this.
Right.
Like, don't quote me on that though.
Yeah, don't listen to us really at this point. With Jessie Buckley as the bride and Jake Gyllenhaal is in this as well. I think as a detective, and Christian Bale as the creature. I don't. Well, it sounds like Victor Frankenstein isn't in this.
No, it's a different Frankenstein, I believe.
Yeah, which is interesting. So what do we make of this? It's sort of like a 1930... Well, it's set in 1930s Chicago, and it feels like kind of, sort of the bride from Universal Monsters, kind of, and combining that with Bonnie and Clyde kind of thing. Like
That's the perfect way to explain it. Yeah.
Yeah. When the first photos come out, they were all kind of in black and white. And I was like, oh, I was expecting this to be like a black and white movie, kind of like Young Frankenstein, but that would have been really cool as well. I mean, a lot of films these days, when it is in black and white, they do a color version. I recently saw that Spider-Man Noir, the TV show, is coming out in color and black and white, which doesn't really make any sense, but to me. But yeah, what do you make of this one, Parker?
Oh, I was super excited when this was announced. Just seeing the cast, and the thing is like The Bride has not really gotten the love that she deserves, because if you think about it, in The Bride of Frankenstein, she's in the movie for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But she's still such an iconic character, but yet her screen time is very limited, and like she has been slowly becoming something more with like in animation form or in other types of media. But to get like a unique, maybe not unique, but something that we kind of haven't gotten with the Frankenstein story before. Like we've gotten modern tellings of Frankenstein, but to have it be kind of a mix of Bonnie and Clyde, but with the creature, which I think his name is Frank in the movie, and then the bride. I think it's just super cool. And the cast itself, like Christian Bale, is it Jessie Buckley? Is that who's playing the bride?
Yeah, she's really riding a wave at the moment.
Yeah. So yeah, I was on board, and the trailer looked really good, and I like the Gyllenhaals. I think they're both very talented, and to see how this all goes, I will be there in the theater to see it.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's kind of like got that sort of gritty gangster feel to it as well, and it's just the fact that we have monsters in it is the only difference to a gangster film, which will be kind of interesting to see how that plays out. Yeah, I'm hoping sort of it doesn't like pull its punches and that it really goes there. I'm expecting it to be a pretty decent hit as well. I think, as I said, Jessie Buckley is certainly like riding a wave at the moment. She's highly tipped to win the Oscar for her performance in Hamnet. I think the Oscars kind of happen around a similar time as this is coming out. So yeah, I think it could be a good success.
Yeah,
definitely. So we are talking Frankenstein movies. Parker, you can go first with yours. So what Frankenstein movie did you go with?
I went with not an abnormal version of the story of Frankenstein, and that is 1974's Young Frankenstein.
Excellent. Directed by the great Mel Brooks, of course, who is still making movies to this day.
Yep, he will be 100 years old this year.
Oh my God. That's insane. And he's Spaceballs 2 on the books as well, coming out soonish.
He may be the oldest director in history.
Yeah. Wow, that's insane. Was it just this one for you, or were there any other Frankenstein movies in contention? What didn't make the cut for you?
When I'm thinking of, probably the only thing I can think of is the original 1931 Frankenstein. Like, I think that when you think of like iconic Frankenstein movies, the original 31 version is probably one of the most iconic films in history. And like, if you look at the history of Frankenstein, there are some that are they're enjoyable, and then there are some that are just not even close. Like, they're just some of them. Like, I think there was I, Frankenstein, which was Aaron Eckhart movie that came out, which was like another kind of modern retelling of the story, but it was kind of just Aaron Eckhart running around as a normal person, just with a little bit of scars here and there to look like the creature. It was just kind of ridiculous. But like, when I think of iconic Frankenstein movies, Young Frankenstein is always at the top, because it's not just a retelling of the story. It's, this is a story about like, what if one of Victor Frankenstein's relative just did the same thing. Like, he didn't learn, and he just ended up doing the same thing again. And it's Mel Brooks.
Yeah, and I love the fact that he's very against being compared to his grandfather, and he's like, no, it's pronounced Victor Frankenstein or something.
Dr. Frankenstein,
that's the one. Yeah. And but it doesn't take the film long to like ditch that and like, yeah, I'm going to make a new one, that's fine.
yeah
I'm going to emulate my grandfather, let's do this. Bring out the platform.
Do you call yourself Frederick? No, it's Frederick. Oh.
Yeah. So what happens in Young Frankenstein, Parker?
So we meet a doctor named Frederick Frankenstein, and he is an esteemed scientist of some sort who studies the human anatomy, mostly the brain and the nervous system. And he inherits his grandfather's castle, the famous Baron von Frankenstein, and he goes up there to kind of see what he can, figure out from his ancestors, until he discovers that, oh, maybe what he was doing wasn't so crazy. So he ends up doing the thing he has been so against all of his life. And there's a lot of jokes. There's a lot of, innuendos, and just great back and forth between pretty much everyone in this movie. And yeah, we kind of get the story of Frankenstein creating the creature, but with a little bit of a twist. And by the end, everybody is happy. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
It leaves it ambiguous,
I think ambiguous is the right word, because you don't fully know how much of Frankenstein is left in there after they do the transfiguration experiment with Peter Boyle's creature. Like, Peter Boyle is fucking great at the end, where he's just a normal dude just with stitching. Reading a newspaper in bed with his bride.
Yep.
But with Gene Wilder, you have that great sex gag when he's like, But how much of his brain has he lost? Because he does seem to be like the normal Victor Frankenstein that we've seen throughout the whole film. And then we hear the violins, which is a whole gag throughout the whole film to lure the creature to them. But then when that goes off, we just get like this sort of expression from Gene Wilder that, oh, this sounds awesome. And then he doesn't say anything, then we get the gag. So it's just kind of left in a great place of, which I think is the best way to go, because you don't really want to explain away that idea and get into the nitty like detail of that. You just want to stick with the comedy with a great gag to finish your movie.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you feel like the music is activating the creature side of him, because maybe with the brain, the transfiguration, whatever this experiment is technically called, most of the creature's brain went into him, and he only has a sliver of the original Dr. Frankenstein left. And so that's where the music comes in and resorts him to the creature form, and that's where you hear him actually moaning or like doing what the creature was doing throughout the entire film. And then of course we get the sex gag at the very end, where you think he's going to attack his wife, but no, it's because he has a lot of the creature now, so that means he's got a big Schwanz. What's his Schwanz finger?
Schwanstocker. Or whatever. Yeah, my German is not the best, or whatever it is. Romanian,
yeah.
Right, let's get into it then with the details, with the main discussion. So I quite like the fact that Mel Brooks starts the film like it's a full-blown like classic horror film, a Universal Frankenstein movie with the music and with sort of the flowing camera. I kind of liked that long tracking shot on the coffin, which leads up to like essentially a jump scare with the coffin opening, which wasn't that scary, but I don't think it was really designed to be scary either, because of the way of the skeleton is revealed to you, like clutching his will in book form. Yeah. There's just something funny about that.
The arms extending and pulling the book back, and
yeah, just why, just the fact that why is there a dead guy in a coffin clutching a book? Like,
also, how long has he been there? Because that skeleton looks like he's been there a while. Like, is that just his burial spot, or because you never get explained that, like, so this is his grandfather.
Yeah.
And it's like, how long has he been dead? Is this just his burial spot? Like, has his coffin just been in the middle of a room for 50 years? Like,
they forgot to bury him.
Yeah, they were just like, he doesn't have, nobody in his family cares.
Yeah, we'll just leave him here in this room. And the coffin, I guess, was just slightly open so all the air could get in and decompose the body quicker.
There's that one guy. He forgot. He tried to get the book before and it didn't work, but he forgot to close the lid all the way. He came back. He was like, "Oh no,
I ain't coming in here again."
Yeah,
let's lock the door. Throw away the key. But yeah, as you say, like, but the real gag is when the guy is just trying to take the book away from the skeleton and it just like snaps back. Just like, again, just a great like classic, simple Mel Brooks sort of gag that that you always associate with him. Just brilliant, simple comedy to start off. Really,
I think it's the beauty of this film. And you talked about the fact that it opens up like a classic monster movie, you know, of the time. And this is a movie I think you could just kind of throw into the mix, and it could fit. Yeah, it's got the gags and the innuendos and all of the things that Mel Brooks is, you know, so famous for. But I mean, we had Abbott and Costello, you know, movies back in the, you know, 30s and 40s and, you know, into the 50s that have this similar feeling, you know. So it's like Young Frankenstein, and that's the beauty of film, is that they were able to make it look like those films. Like, it's not just like a black and white now where they just kind of put a black and white filter over something that was meant to be colored, and then it's like, here's your black and white movie. It's like, no, it just doesn't have that same feeling.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, even making it in black and white is a choice in itself, and they could have easily made this in color, but there was, I guess at that time, there was no real reference points of a Frankenstein movie being in color. Maybe well, you got the Hammer one, The Curse of Frankenstein, which was in color, which certainly isn't amazing, but I still really love Christopher Lee in the role as the creature. He's great. Certainly not one of the great Frankenstein films, but definitely still worth a watch. So, but with this, again, there's a level of authenticity that you need here to make the comedy work as well, with presenting it like a classic Universal horror movie, to then just make the gags feel better right from the off by putting it in black and white. Yeah, I love the fact that as well, kind of going on from that point, that Mel Brooks keeps this very dramatic flowing camera technique for the big scenes, like in that opening as well. Like when we see his grandfather's laboratory for the first time, Mel Brooks takes his time to go through all the different areas, then just brilliantly undercuts the comedy with Frankenstein saying, "It's an absolute mess. What was my grandfather doing?" Obviously not selling it very well with that. But yeah, it's Mel Brooks has just got such a great eye for juxtaposing, sort of thinking you're going to get like a dramatic scene in a way, but then just creating great comedy from that. And I think the best version of that as well is of this sort of style of direction is with ending it with a dramatic scene is when followed by a gag is the laboratory experiment scene, the classic scene that we always kind of associate with Frankenstein movies where the creature comes to life. You know, Mel Brooks is brilliant in drawing it out and sort of doing his own legitimate Frankenstein laboratory scene with some great kind of special effects of the time, with the cross dissolves and the sparks and stuff and the lighting everywhere. And you kind of have to wait a while for the gag to come in this scene. Like, Brooks stays true to the novel as well, where the creature doesn't come alive at first. Like, Frankenstein thinks he's failed by like pounding the creature's chest, then the gag comes after that with Victor trying to strangle him. And what's her name? Igna says, "Doctor, stop it, you'll kill him." Just brilliant timing there. I love the fact that Brooks makes you wait like a good 5 minutes, it feels like, for the gag, because the gags just keep coming and coming. But for this one, it's like, no, I'm going to do my legitimate laboratory Frankenstein scene and then just end it with a great gag. I just love the commitment there.
I think the best is when like lines like that are said, and then Marty Feldman, who plays Igor, is just constantly breaking the fourth wall. He's just constantly looking at the camera like, did you really say that?
Yeah, Marty Feldman is fucking brilliant in this, because like you certainly don't expect him to break the fourth wall all the time. Well, it's not all the time, but there's a good like 4 or 5 moments where he does that. It feels like where he's just literally looking down the lens, and I think somehow the film gets away with it. I think some people get kind of annoyed with fourth wall breaking these days, but like with this, it works just really well. It doesn't take you out of it at all. I think it's just because his character is so kind of absurd with with his hump changing from one shoulder to the other as well, and the bulging eyes. He's kind of just a great ridiculous character that it doesn't really matter whether this makes sense or not. Within the whole context of this story and the narrative, it's great.
Yeah, he's very unpredictable, and I think that's what makes him perfect. He will perform an entire scene with full seriousness, and doing what the typical what that character has done in the past, but then he'll either look down the lens when reacting to another character's line, or he just like kind of flips. Where there's like scenes where, like the scene where Elizabeth shows up and Frederick goes up to her and says what he says to her, and then Igor does the same thing. He slides in. He's just like, "Have you missed me? Do you love me?" And then Frederick comes around. He's just like, "Shh, don't say anything. Pretend nothing happened." It's just like, you're like, why? Like, why would he do that? But it's just like, because he's so unpredictable. You don't know what he's going to do next.
And he takes a bite out of her like fur coat with the dogs on the ends.
Oh, the ferret like scarf she's wearing. I love there's a deleted scene or a blooper of this where he actually takes a chunk out of and it's just hanging out of his mouth, and everyone just dies laughing.
Brilliant. Definitely the MVP of the film for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Which is crazy because you have Gene Wilder and who else? Terry Garr. She's really good in this. The fact that she was able to keep up that accent for the entire movie, like, I mean, may not have been perfect, but at least it was consistent. Cloris Leachman is just perfect casting. Especially one of my favorite gags is definitely when every time they say her name, the horses rear up. And you could see like the annoyance on her face, like, God damn, I hate those horses.
Yeah, a lot of sound gags, but I love the fact that there's probably most of the jokes for me. I might be wrong, but it feels like the most of the jokes are visual gags and not one-liners necessarily. For me, that's like a really impressive feat. It just shows you that sort of Mel Brooks is making a movie for cinema, and it's not just like funny line after funny line, even though they are there, but it's just, there's a lot of great visual stuff in there too. And you have so many examples, like the dart scene with Inspector Kemp, which again sort of combines visual comedy and lines as well, because he's just talking to him, to Frankenstein, and he just says the last word of his sentence just as Frankenstein is throwing a dart, making it really loud at the end. So he misses and throws it through the window.
And I love that there's another, like, it doesn't just end there. It ends with, with Kemp leaving, and there's just dart. There's a dart inside of one of the guy's heads. There's a dart. There's like a bunch of darts in the tires of the car as they're driving away. It's just, it's brilliant.
And he only threw like 4. And there's just
like 10 of them out there.
But you don't care because it's just funny anyway. So, I love kind of the blind man scenes with Gene Hackman. I still can't believe every time I see this, I'm like, fuck, that's Gene Hackman as the blind man. Hell yeah.
And I know he didn't want his name in the opening credits because people didn't want to get distracted by that. So they were like, okay, well, we'll put you at the end then.
Yeah, definitely. Because he's like pouring soup into Peter Boyle's lap, and instead of
trying to catch it with the bowl.
Yeah.
Such a great gag.
Yeah, the creature meets this little girl on a seesaw, and the little girl goes flying through the window to her bedroom. Like, that was great. And probably one of my favorite gags as well is the charades gag where he's spelling out sedative.
Sedative? Sedative?
Yeah. While he's being strangled by the creature.
Yes, so good.
And then it kind of extends where I think, was it Igor gets strangled as well?
Which is one of the best, like, conversations between two characters is Frankenstein sitting down with Igor to go over like the brain situation. Like, you know, so what was the brain you gave me? Abby something? Abby something? I think it was Abby normal. He's like, you gave me, I put an abnormal brain into a 7.5 foot, 54-inch wide, 800-pound gorilla. It's just such a great, that whole, like, it's iconic. Like, anytime you hear about any like famous scenes in a Mel Brooks movie, it is that, like, and Gene Wilder is just so perfect at delivering it. And just kind of him being calm at first, because at the first Igor is just like, you won't be mad. He's like, I will not be mad. It's just fantastic. But back to the little girl scene. It's one of those moments where I think even when you're watching this is a comedy, it's Mel Brooks, you're still kind of nervous because it's the creature and a little girl. And if you've ever seen the 31 version, you know how that ends. So it's one of those moments where Mel Brooks is kind of like, what is he going to do? Because there's a well that you meet. He meets her at the well, and so you think he's just gonna toss her down the well. And it's gonna be so tragic, but instead you get this funny gag where the parents are frantically looking for her because they know the creature is loose, and they're like, we haven't checked upstairs, and they run up and she just perfectly flies through the window. It is, again, there's so many just perfect gags in this.
And just like shot really well. It didn't look like clunky or anything, just really smooth there with the cutting and just the way it's shot. Like, it's just really well done, to be fair. You can't see the joins, as they say, with that. Well, I couldn't anyway.
They were definitely, he definitely had those classic movies in mind when shooting this. Mel Brooks wanted this to feel like it was coming from that time. And so he definitely used a lot of tricks and, camera angles and camera tricks to, like, so you didn't see maybe wires or this, that, and the other. Also, this movie was made in the 70s where high def wasn't a thing. So
no. They had some advantages though. Yeah, for sure. But I think certainly one of my favorite characters in this is Inspector Kemp with his prosthetic arm. Very Doctor Strangelove inspired for sure.
Yes.
Just everything with that. I absolutely ate it up. Loved it.
This guy does a perfect job at the role. Peter Sellers could have done this as well. Like, I think this is a role where you expect it to be Peter Sellers, and then it's not, and you're like, wow, that's like, this guy surprisingly, I've never looked into this actor. I can't even remember his name, but he does a great job. Like, the consistency of him actually constantly moving his arm the way he does, even when he is like walking away from a scene and you can see him still moving his arm in that way. You're like, I love the dedication. You're not like, oh, maybe I'm not in shot, I'm going to just move my arm normally.
Kenneth Mars plays Inspector Kemp. Have you got a favorite visual gag for you, Parker?
There's a lot. I mean, I love when the inspector is walking down the street and after Frankenstein and Igor drop the body in the street, and they got to use the body's arm to like talk to the inspector. That's always a great one. Probably another one is, of course, the one where Igor's using the knockers and Frankenstein goes, what knockers? And she's like, oh, thank you. There's just so many, it's hard to pick. It's like, I could go on and on.
Yeah, you can see where that storyline was going from that gag.
Yes.
But I think I guess if you think Young Frankenstein, I think you certainly think of one scene. One scene always comes into my head, and that's Putting on the Ritz scene.
Yes.
It's very sort of like King Kong inspired, the way it's kind of put together in its structure. Frankenstein presenting the creature as a theater act, like it was done in King Kong as well. But what's kind of sort of genius as well for me is the fact that this is where we hear like the creature Peter Boyle say his first proper words for the first time in this comedy scene, other than saying, he literally says, putting on the Ritz in his voice.
That monstrous voice. Yeah.
Brilliant. I also loved the last act of the film where we kind of get away from sort of the classic Frankenstein story. And it becomes its own sort of thing when Elizabeth, Frankenstein's fiance, comes to see him at the castle. And we have this sort of like partner swap situation where Igna gets with Frankenstein at the top of the platform and Peter Boyle's creature gets with Elizabeth. And she has kind of, you see the beginnings of the famous like white streaks in her hair when the Peter Boyle essentially kidnaps her. And then we obviously get the amazing opera singing gag as the creature's dong is at the correct proportion for her. And then from then on, I love how they kind of play with that situation where Frankenstein saves the creature by doing this sort of, as we kind of said at the top of the show, this transfiguration, however you want to call it, experiment, and sort of transfers some of Frankenstein's brain into the creatures. And Peter Boyle gets to do like a few of the scenes a bit more like himself, I guess, which is kind of great. And again, visually just hilarious. And again, we get, the opera singing gag at the end, as we've said. So I very much appreciate the fact that it becomes sort of very unpredictable and we go beyond the classic Frankenstein story that we're all kind of aware of at the end. And you just, you get to that kind of those elements where the Peter Boyle's creature climbs back up to the castle, and then you're like, I don't, how is this story gonna end? Getting close to the end of the story that we know, because it wouldn't, like, how are they gonna make the end of this classic story funny? And I just it couldn't end in a more brilliant way.
Yeah, because it's not traditional, and I think that's if you're going to make a new adaptation of something so iconic, you got to give it something fresh. And I think, for one, this being a comedy, this isn't the first comedic version of Frankenstein, because we did get Abbott and Costello meets Frankenstein, which blends kind of like that classic 31 film with the comedy of Abbott and Costello. But this is like taking the classic Frankenstein story and adding, it's not just full-fledged comedy. It is, as we said, it's a nice blend of the dramatic and the comedy in the best way that Mel Brooks can do. And yeah, the fact that we don't get just kind of the generic ending of the monster or the creature dying, quote unquote, it's really interesting to see kind of the transformation and having the creature actually speak and do more. And then of course having that perfect gag at the end where it's like the creature is still there, but he's not who you think it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's so many like great performances here, even like right from the start. Again, a great visual gag with like Gene Wilder's acting, like in the opening scene at his lecture at the start of the film. He's very, it's very established that he's very against his grandfather's work in reanimating the dead. And he gets really angry at one of his students in that sort of classic Gene Wilder way of his, and he stabs his own thigh in frustration with a scalpel. He quickly realizes what he's done and just crosses his leg, hiding the scalpel, hoping no one will see it. Just fantastic, like, comedy timing with the calmness of him, like, crossing his legs. Like, yep, no one saw that, hopefully.
Yep. I'm in extreme pain right now, but you're not going to see it.
Yeah, and I think Peter Boyle does an incredible job here as well. I just love how he kind of plays the creature here. Like, he's brilliantly, like, expressive with his grunting. In a way, it's not that difficult to, like, pull off, maybe you could argue, but I kind of love some of his like subtle moments within that. And like when he meets the blind man and kind of his mug full of drink gets broken and his face just when they're doing a cheers moment and his face just drops, like, ugh. He was just like really disappointed. He was like, I wanted to drink that. Great stuff from him. Plus, I loved it when like Gene Wilder is like embracing Peter Boyle when he's like, I'm going to save your life. We're going to be great together, achieve great things, just before they're putting on the Ritz scene. And he's grabbing his face. And Peter Boyle's just like shifting his eyes from side to side. Very cartoon-like, but... and he's just like, excuse me, what are you doing? Let go of my face, please. I love it because it's a great small detail, because the focus on the scene is probably on Gene Wilder doing his shouty thing, but what Peter Boyle is doing is just he's adding a great layer of comedy to that as a two shot on two people, even though he's not even saying anything. Yeah, brilliant stuff from Peter Boyle for me.
Yeah, he did, because he doesn't speak for 90% of the movie. His face acting, everything he's doing is, just his eyes or his, just his face movements to kind of show his emotion or try to show what he's trying to say, even though he can't. And yeah, the blind man situation, that's probably my favorite like facial performance from him throughout the entire movie. Just his annoyance with the situation, or like when he's trying to light the cigar, and he's like, fire is our friend, and he lights his finger and he's just like, and then just screams and then just leaves. And I just love Gene Hackman's reaction, like, what?
You don't like cigars? What? He doesn't like cigars.
But yeah, it just putting on the Ritz scene, just everything, like it just shows I think the brilliance of Peter Boyle and what he could do kind of with such limited interactions with people, and just like what he was probably told to do, because he has to be the creature. He has to kind of act like your typical Frankenstein's monster, with the very like stiff movements and all of that. And he brings way more than you expect for someone who does not talk.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think certainly with the putting on the Ritz scene, he's great as well. Just mixing this kind of very brilliant physical comedy with the dancing scenes, but still staying true to how the creature moves, compared to how Gene Wilder is moving. Well, I wouldn't say Fred Astaire-like, but he gets close to it. But also what's kind of great as well from Peter Boyle and Mel Brooks within that scene, because you have like high comedy in that. It's just absolutely hilarious. But then when one of the lights blows out, you're going into like a genuine like horror scene with that. Like it's not, they don't fully discard like the horror stuff in this, which is great to see in a way. I mean, it doesn't last for too long. He goes into the stage and then I think he does throw a guy. I can't remember, but he definitely gets his hands on someone and then he gets lifted up. He crowd surfs.
Yeah, he jumps onto a guy off the stage.
Yeah.
But before that, like you were saying, how it kind of has that horror element of like when that light breaks and you can see him kind of resort back to, being afraid. And then people just and then it turns into straight comedy because people have giant, like literally full heads of lettuce in vegetables underneath their seats, and they're just chucking them at the stage. They're like, stop antagonizing him. You're not helping. And it just turns into full-fledged comedy. Even when he is attacking somebody, it's just like, it's just chaos and hilarity, but where it's going.
Yeah, so it's definitely like fleeting moments of horror to just like of what you kind of know from the older films, that to just sort of reset the audience sort of thing for a fleeting moment.
Yeah.
Which I think works definitely. Favorite scenes or shots for you, Parker? What you going with?
Oh, I mean, anything with Igor in it. And just like his like reaction to anything, like him even just flipping the switches when they're actually doing the experiment, and like that whole scene is fantastically shot, and the visuals are great because of how it feels so old. But I just love the throw the third switch. He's like, not the third switch, master. But yeah, I think that whole like bringing the creature alive is probably one of my favorites. I would say probably like just a runner up would be when they're digging up the body and he's like, "Oh, dirty job." Well, at least it didn't rain. And then it just starts pouring.
Because of course it does.
Yes.
Wouldn't have it any other way. Yeah, I love that. Not the third switch line from Igor, because it does feel that just felt very 1931 with its melodrama. They're really playing off that. Yeah, I really like that. For me, I think my favorite scene, you mentioned it, I absolutely love the hand gag from Gene Wilder when the coffin of Peter Boyle's body like falls out of the car and his hand pops out and a policeman comes along to investigate. And in this kind of great dramatic way, Gene Wilder just reveals the dead hand to pretend it's his own with amazing timing. Like the way he snaps around just after the cop says, "Need a hand?"
No, I already got one.
Yeah. And just the way like Wilder uses his other hand to just stick it out in front of him, it's just genuinely hilarious. Just like, yes, I can just, yeah, that's all I can do.
Yes.
With my arms.
Oh man.
Yeah, just the way he moves his arm. Yeah, just so brilliant for me there. Directing score for me, oh man, it's really good. I mean, I think I'm going to go like a straight 9 because I just love the fact that in the way like Mel Brooks directs it, he's just honoring the previous films in just this great classical way, and he's just feeding great comedy out of that in just such a natural way, that the only way he kind of knows. And just the performance, like the way he gets great performances out of people, it's just really, really great. And just, I think it's just very commendable that he just keeps it very simple at times. You know, he has this great mix of simplicity and complexity in a way with sort of the flowing camera in the dramatic scenes, and he treats like the iconic scenes with an element of respect as well, with the fact that, you know, I'm going to do, you know, the great famous laboratory scene of Frankenstein my way and make it really dramatic, but then just make it fucking hilarious at the same time. I really appreciate that. And then just the way, you know, with the design elements, like the authenticity of the way everything looks is great. So yes, a solid 9 for me.
I mean, for me, it's Mel Brooks. It's one of my favorite Mel Brooks movies, and the thing I love about Mel Brooks is he gives so much freedom to his actors. And of course, you know, Gene Wilder being his writing partner on this one and kind of just letting him let loose and having the trust in his, especially in Gene to you know, because the putting on the Ritz scene almost didn't happen. Like,
oh, okay.
Mel Brooks actually didn't like the scene. He felt like it was just it didn't fit with the rest of the movie, and Gene Wilder like fought for it, and he was like, well, we're going to keep it just because of how much you're fighting for this scene, because I respect you, I trust you, so we're going to do it. And it's become one of the most iconic scenes in the movie. So just for the sheer fact of that's just the type of person Mel Brooks, I mean, he still is. I mean, he's still directing. So this is going to be, I rarely do this, but it's Mel Brooks and it's Young Frankenstein. I'm giving this a straight up 10.
Hell yeah. Yeah, a lot of people are afraid of 10s, and we're getting one today. So not afraid here.
Not when it's Mel Brooks, baby.
Favorite lines? So how long have we got? A long time. You filthy, rotten son of a bitch. And
these guys are the boss.
Yeah.
The guy's reaction is the best, especially like, after he puts the little collar on. He's just like, his like eyes are crossed.
Take this thing off my neck. Hello, would you like to have a roll in the hay?
No.
Yeah,
roll.
It looks dirty. Like that. There, wolf. There, castle.
Why are you talking like that? Oh, I thought that's how you wanted me to talk.
I loved the kind of the bookcase secret room scene Igna like lifts the candle up, and Wilder gets stuck in the bookcase, and he's like, "Put the candle back," with his mouth like squished in between, the bookcase and the wall. I think one of the best, not one of the best 4-4 moment is definitely from Igor, and he says when they go down the stairs to, when they get into the secret laboratory, whatever. And he says, "I heard the strangest music from the upstairs kitchen, and I just followed it down. Call it a hunch." Boom. And then points to his hump. Right. From Igna. "In other words, his veins, his feet, his hands, his organs would all have to be increased in size." Exactly. "He would have an enormous Schrodstücker." And again, like another amazing visual gag when Igor is stealing the brain and you see that what's written on the door. Brain depository after 5 p.m. Slip brains through the slot-in door.
That whole thing is perfect. Like him putting his hand through the slot to open the door, but then his own hand scares him. He's like, "Whoa!" Like everything scares him. He drops with his own reflection. He drops the brain, and it's like that whole scene is just perfect. And Marty Feldman again, it's literal comedic gold.
Yeah, I mean, I would expect the slit in the door to be a bit wider, though. It would just be very messy.
just trying to push that thing through the slot. Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to protect any brains doing that. So
no,
I would recommend a wider slit in the door, and maybe put some extra wording in there. Just make sure it's wrapped in bubble wrap, or just have good packaging just to protect the brain,
because those brains are very fragile. Because he drops that brain and it just turns into goo on the floor.
Yeah, so use bubble wrap for brains.
Yep.
Yeah. I think just before the laboratory scene, Frankenstein says, "Are you ready?" "Yes, doctor." "Elevate me." "Now? Right here?" Yes, raise the platform."
Oh,
I love Inspector Kemp with his great accent.
What?
"Frankenstein is indeed following in his grandfather's footsteps." "What?" "Following in his grandfather's footsteps." Just stamping on the ground. I love that character so much. I did want more of him. Just from a selfish point, I just want him in every scene. I just loved that character so much. Of course, Abby Normal. And the last line from Gene Hackman, "Wait, where are you going? I was going to make espresso." I'm not sure I want to imagine Peter Boyle. Well, maybe I do. Peter Boyle's
after
creature.
An espresso.
Yeah, that would make the movie even better for me. Another great one just before Elizabeth sees the impressive dong from the creature. And she's like, "Oh my God, woof!"
Well, that's because that's what Inga does before when she's talking about how all of the body parts are going to be, have to fit the frame, and she's like, "He's going to have a big Schwanzfigure." Woof.
Yes, that's all the lines. I think just so many great ones to choose from. I frankly should have just written down the whole script.
Yeah, that's the thing about comedies, man. Especially when it's a good comedy. It's so hard to kind of break down a comedy without just literally quoting the entire movie, especially if it has so many iconic gags. I mean, one that you didn't mention was when Frankenstein meets Igor for the first time. He's like, "Dr. Frankenstein?" He's like, "It is Frankenstein." And he's like, "Do you call yourself Frederick Frankenstein?" He's like, "No, it is Frederick." He's like, He's like, "Are you Igor?" He's like, "It's Igor." "Oh, I was told it was Igor." "Well, you were told wrong."
Screenplay score for you, Parker? What you going for?
I won't go a perfect 10. I won't be that guy, but it's a 9. It is pretty much near perfect. It's just the originality of it, plus kind of paying homage to the classics that came before it. I mean, that's just the beauty of it. The jokes all land for me, the gags and everything. So yeah, I'll give it a 9.
Excellent. Yeah, I think for me, I'm going to go in a very similar ballpark as well, because as you say, like the gag rate is amazing, and the gag rate is just equally as good with mixing like visual gags and one-liners. If you're not going to get a visual liner in a particular scene, you'll have like 3 visual gags, or if you're going to have like 3 one-liners, there'll be at least 1 visual gag in there somewhere. Yeah, it's just kind of relentless. But again, I do kind of like this commitment that you do have smatterings of like the classic horror elements that you have in terms of a dramatic sense as well, which they do respect, which is great just to kind of reset you. Yeah, I think, I've seen this film quite a few times, and I think the first time I watched it, I don't think I appreciated it enough as I should have. I think this is my 3rd or 4th time watching this now, and I pretty much was laughing throughout, certainly on this watch for this podcast. So yeah, do I go as high as a 9? Yeah, I probably will, because as I said as well, like there's just great commitment to being respectful from the source material from a story point, but also just making it its own thing, especially with that last like 20 minutes where it's purely its own thing and you just really don't know where it's going. So I really, really respect it for that. So yeah, I'm going to go like a 9.2 for me. Yeah. And it's just like pure, well, like 95% pure comedy here. And you just rarely get that these days. Like comedy is just pure comedies like this are just gone of the dodo. And I mean, it's trying to come back a little bit, I guess, with The Naked Gun with Liam Neeson, with that movie. That's a pure kind of absurdist comedy. So I feel like we need more of these kind of films. I guess we're getting like another Scary Movie sequel. So yeah, hopefully it'll come back in a big way.
Yeah, definitely.
Favorite performance for you, Parker? Who you gone with?
Ooh, there's so many. I got to give it to Marty Feldman as Igor. I think he just, like, as great as Gene Wilder is, he's barely getting edged by Igor. But Igor is just the comedic timing to certain situations, the fourth wall breaks, which are, I think, they don't overdo it. They're like perfectly placed, and just kind of the randomness of his performance is just, it's perfect. It's perfect as this sidekick character to kind of the straight edge, Dr. Frankenstein.
Absolutely. I'm going to go Peter Boyle as the creature. I know he only really turns up after like half an hour into the movie, but he has just such a great impact with his presence, and yet he's supposed to be the creature, but you just want to give him a big hug. It's that kind of performance, and yet he produces like so much great comedy without even saying anything other than going just the way he does humming is great. Yeah, just the like what he does with his eyes to create great comedy, as I said, with just the shifting eyes, like, what the fuck are you doing with my face? Like, get off me.
Yeah.
I love that. Makes me laugh every time. In terms of acting score, I think this probably will be my lowest one, just because, like, I really, as you say, Marty Feldman's great as well. I loved him. Gene Wilder as well, I think, is also great, but you could say that Gene Wilder's just kind of doing Gene Wilder's thing, but I guess that's just what he's known for. And you have to have, I guess, a straight guy in there to make a lot of the comedy work. But I guess also, like, Gene Wilder, this is definitely up there for one of his best performances. Is this one of his best for you, do you reckon? Or?
I think it's one of them. I think, his turn as Willy Wonka definitely is iconic and memorable. And, he's not in it like the whole time, but even, just for what he's doing in that movie, it's, super memorable. But this has got to be pretty close.
So I'll probably go like an 8.8.
I am going to probably give this a 9.5. because
Yeah.
it's one of my favorite comedies of all time. It's just the performances just are perfect because of everybody kind of balances each other out. And the gags just kind of all work based on, like we said, Gene Wilder is playing the straight man of the group. And you have, Terry Garr, who's kind of in the middle. She's got the comedic chops, but she's also playing it, straight. And then you got Marty Feldman, who, like, everybody is just playing off each other perfectly. So it may not be perfect, but it's damn well close to it.
Right, let's add up the scores then for Young Frankenstein. Young Frankenstein gets a very, very impressive 55.5. That's going to be very, very difficult to beat. Yeah, that's a big score. That's it for part 1. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. Check out part 2 to see who wins. But don't stop there. Get involved and tell me what your favourite films are relating to the episode. Send us a DM or comment on Instagram and TikTok at Film vs. Film Podcast, for X at FVF_podcast. Plus, we are now on YouTube, so hit that like button and comment there. If you do, I'll give you a shout out on the next episode. Remember, please leave us a 5-star review and subscribe. Pod signing off. Thank you.